Hey guys and gals, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Today we're going to be doing our dish wall results from, we've been waiting for this one for quite a while, so since Christmas. So we're going to be doing tomato and basil soup, and we're also going to do the cheese and bacon toasty as well that I know Mr. Cal bought us the toasty maker, so looking forward to doing that. But hope everyone is doing well. I hope you're looking forward to the dish today. So we're also going to do homemade bread as well. For the toasty itself. So we're going to do that first. We're also going to make a nice beautiful vegetable stock ready for the base of the tomato and basil soup. And then we're going to cook that down very nicely. We're also going to get a little bit of the mozzarella and also the bacon to go inside the toasty. And some fresh basil for the soup. I think that's it. Very straightforward, but very delicious. So the first thing I want to do is that little cheeky bread. So let's make a start for that for today. 500 grams I wanted, right? Bread flour. So let's weigh this out then. I feel like I could have done with a bit of a bigger bowl, but actually this should be fine. I'm not too concerned. Let's get our salt content in there. You can use whatever salt you want, whether it's Maldon or not. It's up to you. You can use natural sea salts or, you know, whatever takes your fancy. If I'm saying you're going to use molten sea salt, just make sure you crush the flakes up in your hands. I'm just kind of crushing them up in my fingers. So that's the only downside with it, but apart from that, beautiful salt. There we go. Perfect. Right, so the salt's in there. We also want a little touch of sugar. 18 grams. Yeah, that's good. Oh, I already reset it. Look at that, way ahead of you. Oil, that's what I wanted. Veggie oil or canola. So I want about 20 ml of that in here. So this is going to add, this is the fat and this is the fat that will add to the bread. It'll give it nice softness to it. So we just need 20 ml of that. There we go. Perfect. That's all done. We need the liquid. We also need the yeast. So we need to heat up this water. Now, it's super, super important when it comes to the water for the bread. I always say this every time. You know what I'm going to say? It needs to be nice and warm. Now, I usually do for optimal temperature for my bread, it's usually 35 Celsius or 95 Fahrenheit. You can go up to about 40. Anything over 40 Celsius, you're going to end up going into the danger zone of killing the yeast. So, you know, I like to have it at 35. If you want it a little touch warmer, that's up to you. So how many did I say? 290, 280? 290. That's one. So there's about 2 teaspoons there. That's one number 3. There we go. Perfect. So it's going to give that a nice little whisk around so it dissolves very nicely. So before we pour that in there, because we've got quite a lot of salt on the top of the surface, what we want to do is just kind of give that a mix up. Why, chef? Why do you want to mix it up? Reason for it, if you have like a concentrated area of salt, you could potentially kill some of the yeast off. So just give it a nice little mix up so it's all incorporated, so you're less likely to do that. So let's get our, I say hands. I'm going to get my one hand in there first. So just giving it a nice little turn. Just giving it a nice little mix here. So keep the bowl. Don't put it in the wash because we're going to need it for later when we put it back in for proofing. So I'm just going to pick up all those little bits I've made a mess with. All we're going to do is both of our hands. And what we're going to do is use the heels of our hands to help knead it. And we're going to use our fingers just to kind of pull it back. So. And we're just going to work this for about 5 to 10 minutes, just until it's nice and smooth. So just a little bit of a workout for you. Well, for me, technically, not for you guys, but, you know, if you're making this at home, then yeah. So there's our dough. Just going to drop that back into the pan. Now you can either put flour over it, or some people like to brush it with oil. You know, it's up to you to stop it sticking from the cling film. Or you can leave it. And even if it does stick to the cling film, you just have to pull it off very slowly and gently, and it will come off. But if you try to rip it quick, it'll rip the dough. So let's get our onions. I want some garlic, some thyme. I've also got some leeks left over, which I was going to use yesterday, and I was like, actually, I'm going to use it today. So, yeah. Oh, wait, I'm not dicing this up really fine, am I? Well, too late, chef. So I was kind of weren't concentrating. I was too busy yippee yapping. So we want to kind of just roughly cut this up, but that's okay. We've diced it up now, we'll use it. So just kind of rough cut. Don't want to go too crazy with this. So there we go. Miles away. I thought I was starting the soup. It's not. It's the the veggie stock. So there we go. Anyway, so what we're going to do, we're going to crush this down as well. We're not going to grate it. So using the heel of your hand, just give it a little bash with your knife. Keep your blade not like that because you're going to hurt yourself, or not down because you're going to damage the blade, just horizontally. And you should be able to get the garlic out of it. There you go. Easy. Now, while you're peeling this down, Chef, now usually the skin on the outside of the carrot will give like a bitterness to the stock, so we don't want that. So we're just peeling it off. And we're just going to roughly cut this up. Not fine dice, again. Goodness me. So, we want a little bit of time. Don't need to pick this down either. So just a couple little sprigs of thyme, not going too crazy. So what we're going to do is just cut this in half. Super important. You see all these beautiful layers inside the leek. We're going to wash through them with a little bit of cold water. Reason for it, there could be bacteria, there could be soil in there. So it's always good. Cut it in half and then wash it. Right, so there's the leeks, just roughly chopped up, nothing crazy. And that's it. So what we're going to do, grab ourselves a large pot, 1 tablespoon of canola oil. So they're all going in same time. Onions, garlic, the whole shebang. Now they're not supposed to be diced up. I should have done a some of them are diced up because I was too busy yibba yabbing. My fault. But yeah, just roughly cut up. You don't need to dice it like I did with half of it, so don't worry about that. Right, so we're going to top this up with some water. So that's the leftover water I had from the bread earlier on, so I'm just going to get some more. Hot, cold, cold will do, guys. It doesn't, no specific temperature in the water, so just top this up. When it comes to stocks, super important you don't boil the living daylights out of them. Why? Well, the reason for it is actually 2 reasons. One's more of a restaurant reason, but the other one is actually if you boil the living daylights out of it, you're just going to get a flatter flavor. Whereas, like, if you gently simmer it, it's going to cook down. You're going to get a fuller, more richer flavor from it. The second option is cloudiness, so that's more of a restaurant thing. It's not really kind of for home cooks, but I'm going to tell you anyway, just in case you want to have a nice clear stock out of it. So, super important. All right, beautiful. Okay, so let's make a start for this base of the soup. So, let's grab an onion. So basically, you want to cut down horizontally, and obviously, the more layers you get from the putting in the onion, the more you're gonna, more finer it's gonna be at the end of it. So, I'm making sure we're not cutting all the way through. So I'm just gonna cut that straight across. Beautiful. Let's pick this down. So if you want to kind of dice this down a little bit further, you can do. Honestly, in my personal opinion, you don't really need to, but if you're getting a little bit fussy and you prefer to dice the leaves down a bit further, then you can do. You know, the options are there, whatever you prefer. But as long as you don't get the stalks, that's one of the most important things, and just the leaves, then you should be fine. So that bacon's just about right. It's a little bit crispy, but I still want it to be a little bit tender. I don't want it to be like dried out super, super, super. So, because it's going into the toasty, I kind of want to keep some kind of moisture in there anyway. Add a tablespoon of canola oil. Gonna add the onions, the garlic. I'm gonna start sauteing these down. Right, so let's dice this up into a nice little dice. Seeds and skins included. So, like tomorrow, we're going to be having a salmon stir fry tomorrow. So, with zucchini noodles, cashew nuts, ginger, all those beautiful flavors in there. Are you adding garlic to this soup? Yep, we've already added it. So, we added 2 cloves. That was in the onions that we grated down, Matt. We've got the thyme in there. We've just added some onions into here. I've also got a can of tomatoes as well to bulk it up. And then we're going to add a little touch of that veggie stock that's just kind of simmering down right there. And then we're going to add a nice little gastric. Chef, what's a gastric? So basically a gastric is basically sugar and vinegar. Just heat it up until the sugar is basically dissolved. And that'll add a nice little tang, but also sweetness to the tomato soup. Tomatoes are going in. Beautiful. Now you're going to notice I'm not actually going to add the basil, or basil shall I say, straight off the bat. I'm actually going to add it last minute because it's fresh. What we're going to do is pretty much when we come to blend this, we're going to add it later on. So I'm not going to add it now, I'm going to add it later. So we're going to add a bit of this stock to top it up, and then we're just going to kind of really cook this down very gently. Look at that. Little treat right there. Here it comes, chaps. Chapettes. So I'm just going to knock all the air out of it. I'm just going to start shaping it into a loaf. There we go. Alrighty, so just drop that little cheeky chap in there. So it's our beautiful bread loaf. So we're going to just very lightly brush with a little touch of oil as well. There you go. It's looking good. So just going to let that proof now. Put that back in the warm room. I'm going to use the same bit of cling film because, you know, save on waste. Don't push it down. Don't tuck it all under. Just leave it loose on top so it doesn't... Because if you wrap it tight, what's going to happen is the bread's going to proof. It's only going to get so far and it's going to get constricted with the cling film. And then it's just going to knock itself back because it can't go any further. So if you leave it loose, what's going to happen then? This will rise with it. So it's not going to be constricted. So don't have it on tight. Just have it on nice and loose. And then we're going to pop this back into the warm room. Let's give this a blend. Okay, so I'm just going to take a few little leaves, not too many. So I'm just going to pop a little bit in the thyme. Any of this kind of leftover, I might make a nice little pesto over the weekend. And maybe we can use the pesto on Monday or something. I wonder if I got pine nuts. I think I have somewhere. If I haven't, maybe I can buy some on the weekend and I'll make it Monday. Does need that gastric though in there. I'm going to put half in to begin with. Does need seasoning as well. Are you ready for this? I don't think chat you're not ready for this kind of bread today. I don't think you're ready for this at all. Look at that. Gordon Bennett. As the British would say, that's bloomin' huge. No puns intended there. Promise. Look at that little beauty. Right, it's going back in because it needs cooking just a little touch longer. But I don't really want to wait too long for this to kind of sort itself out. Oh, we haven't got that much of a hole underneath. That's not that bad. I thought it was going to be really kind of permeated throughout. But look at that bread. Boop, boop. Oh my goodness me, look at that. That is what I call an absolute little gem. So the idea with this, with the toasty, it's super kind of important. I'm going to be careful I don't rip the bread because this is quite hard, right? I might end up ripping it, so just be super careful. So let's get the mozzarella. Don't want to go too crazy with it. So I don't want to put the bacon in the middle. If I put the bacon in the middle, what's going to happen? It's going to have issues cutting it. Do you know what I mean? So let's have a look. Beautiful little sizzle. Alrighty. Moment of truth, amigos. This is a very thick toasty. Come on. There we go. It's in. Oh my goodness me. Look at that. Homemade bread with homemade toasties. Tomato and basil soup. So we made the vegetable stock from scratch using onion, garlic, thyme, a little bit of leek, a little bit of carrot. Cook that down very fiercely to begin with to get caramelization, and then very gently for the stock. The homemade bread we made, 500 grams of flour, 290 ml of warm water, about 35 to 95 Fahrenheit, 35 Celsius, of course. 3 teaspoons of yeast, 12.5 grams of salt. How much was it? 18 grams of sugar, yeah. And we also had about 20 ml of oil in there as well for the softness. Bound it together, let it proof, knocked it back, proved it in the tin in the oven, and careful you don't overproof a little bit. Mine was a little touch overproven, but still very delicious. For the base, we had onions, garlic, thyme. We also put chopped fresh tomatoes in there. Also a can of tomatoes. We also made a gastric. What's a gastric? Basically sugar and vinegar, and cooked down until the sugar's dissolved. We used honey instead, and then it basically adds to the tomato and basil soup. Just bring up the flavors of the tomatoes, add a little zing to it, and also a little bit of sweetness. We added the fresh basil and blend in, and pretty much seasoned it up. Reduced it a little bit more because it was a little thin, but now it's perfect consistency. So super happy. I don't feel like I don't need a spoon for this because look at that. Chat, are you ready for this cheese pull? Are you ready for this? I hope so. Oh my goodness me. It's still going. It stopped. I hope you all have a great rest of your Wednesday. I'll be back tomorrow for that beautiful salmon dish. Also, don't forget, Friday, it's going to be my 3-year anniversary. I'm doing sous vide steak with all the goodies. So if you want to come along, please feel free to do so. I'll do double beans on Friday, which I might regret, but it's okay. But anyway, have a great rest of your day. Have a lovely Wednesday. I'll see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Mountain Time. Much loves, and thank you again, and all for the love and support. And bye for now, amigos.